Hey, beautiful human. Welcome to episode 22 of From Chaos to Cozy, where we're on an amazing journey, gaining clarity around our chaos and also how to see our cozy more clearly. In the last episode, we looked at two more of our superpowers, the power of thank you and the power of now. And in this episode, we'll finish up this current adventure of some of our greatest superpowers. And maybe we'll talk about more others in the future. But these last two that we'll chat about today are the power of no and the power to question. The little boy's mother caught him playing with her digital camera. She told him to bring it to her, and he replied in a pouty voice, "No, I don't want to." The mother gave the look to her husband, so he pulled his son to the side and in a whisper said, "Listen, you got to teach me how to do that." Now, I'm not intending to start any marital fights. I just shared this story because it reminded me of when toddlers learn that magical word of no and how it impacts everyone when a little child fearlessly invokes that magic, causing others who have lost their power of no to try to suppress it in the little one. We've been taught from an early age through praise and punishment to not resist. We're forbidden to say no to a request or an order from someone in authority over us, whether that's a parent, a teacher, a religious leader, political leader, police officer, whoever it may be. The list seems endless, right? Because we've been taught that a large amount of the population is in a position where we don't disobey or reject their demands. Obey your teacher, listen to your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, your grandpa, your grandma, your older brother, your older sister, your babysitter. Be nice to strangers. Listen to your supervisor. It's no wonder that we just might have lumped the entire population of the world into a huge bucket to obey. But because we developed a conditioned belief that we are supposed to obey everyone else, we also develop a kind of reverse belief, well, then everyone should be doing what we ask of them too, right? We're surprised when someone tells us no. We're like, what? We just don't understand how they could do such a thing. When an answer of no is given in a negative context, usually some sort of emotional encounter will happen. There'll probably be crying involved. But if the emotional expressions don't achieve the desired turnaround to a yes, then we might experience anger. Someone or us trying to bully the answer of yes into being. And then if it escalates far enough, then there could be the dreaded rejection that we've been taught to fear. People walk out of the room, hang up the phone, or push someone out of their life, hoping that the drastic action will spark the need to obey. We've been taught to take it personally when someone tells us no, or to take the actions of others personally when we tell them no and get hit with the emotional manipulation tactics. The discovery that we are the only ones responsible for our own emotional choices frees us from being responsible for everyone else's emotions, and it empowers us to take back our lives. We give our power away when we allow others to manipulate our emotional choice. Guilt seems to be nothing more than fear of rejection. We feel bad about an action because of how someone else might or did react emotionally to the situation. In reality, emotional stories happen only in our minds. In the outside world, things just happen, things just are. There are no stories that surround the situations until an emotional human being gets involved. Whether a bear poops in the woods was never really a question the animals of the forest cared about. Only we, powerful, eternal, supernatural beings of unconditional love living a human experience here, could ever care about it. Realizing our power of no brings up a fact that we never have to do anything that we don't want to do. Listen to that again. Take it to heart. We never have to do anything that we don't want to do. Yeah. There will always be an effect to our cause, a result to our action, repercussions for our choice, but we will still never have to do anything we don't want to do. We just have to be okay with the external outcome. The internal emotional impact to ourselves is within our control. The external emotional reactions of individuals don't happen inside us. They are emotions going on inside someone else. We have no idea what they're really feeling, and it is absolutely none of our business because it is outside of our control. Yes, we could possibly make it an easier choice for someone to choose love over fear or fear over love, but we're not responsible for anyone else's actions. If someone's determined to be unhappy, sad, hurt, depressed, angry, joyful, happy, or content, there's nothing we can do to control that. We could give someone everything we have, and it may never be enough for them. And we have no idea what is on the person's list of conditional love laws that will allow them to feel loved or accepted. You know, personally, being a heavy-duty people pleaser growing up, I often found myself giving up myself for others to the point I didn't know what movies I liked or restaurants that I preferred because I was always motivated to make sure everyone else was happy. I came into my power of no on an extensive road trip I took from Colorado to the upper northwest of the United States. And I was staying with some friends in Portland for about a week. And in the middle of visiting there, my host for my next destination initiated a conversation via text. The conversation lasted a couple of days with intermittent replies as we both went about our busy days. And I'm sure we all understand how communicating via text creates a higher possibility of miscommunication because we can't hear the tones or words, etc. So the mystery started as she mentioned an establishment she was aware of near where I was staying that served amazing shawarma. It's a Middle Eastern dish that has like meat and like onions and some different things with it. My first thought was, oh, how nice, she's letting me know so I can go try it. But those thoughts were pushed out of the way with a request for me to pick some up and bring it to her when I was headed down there in probably 4 or 5 days. At first I thought she was kidding since she was about an 8-hour drive away, and I joked with her about it, but the text conversation became serious. She provided me instruction on obtaining a cooler and ice and requested that I call her from the store where I was going to be ordering it so she could make sure that I ordered what she wanted correctly. And now the joke was on me. First came the message of how barren her small town was of any good food, and it would be a treat for her, and she hoped that being friends, it wouldn't be something too much to ask for. And when I responded with I would need to think about it because I was busy visiting my friends in Portland and really didn't want to go through all that trouble for some food and have it on my vehicle with me for all that time, well, that took us to DEFCON 2. Since the sad face was not working on me, she switched up to bullying. Still by text, she expressed her concern that she was hoping that she would not have to get angry over this in order for me to do what she wanted. And this is where my fight or flight kicked in. In confrontational situations, if I switch into fear reactions, I will 99% of the time choose to flee. And that's what I did. I responded to her that I felt uncomfortable staying in her house, so I planned on getting a hotel. I still wanted to see her, but I felt more secure if I had someplace I knew I wouldn't be thrown out of if she got angry with me. I didn't share that with her. That's what was going on inside of me. I hadn't seen her in about 20 years, and we hadn't talked much during that time. And the texts stopped after that last reply. And during the silence, I reflected on how I was feeling, and as my Portland friends helped me calm myself, my memories started to become clearer. In the past, I'd always given in to whatever she wanted to do, so I couldn't really blame her for thinking that I would still blindly do whatever she asked of me. Part of this road trip was evidently going to be learning to say no if I didn't want to do something. I didn't hear back from her at all over the next few days, and so a couple days before I was leaving, I changed my plans to visit Mount Shasta instead. In the morning I was leaving, I received a long, detailed Facebook message that started off with a statement about how she never thought I would end up on the list of, I'll say jerks. She used a different word that let her down, and it kind of went downhill from there. And I was on the road, so I had a lot of time to think about the situation, and my fear ego was a great co-pilot. Her rejection echoed in my car for a couple hours, till I stopped for gas. And I thought, okay, I'll try to reply to her, but alas, I was unfriended and blocked. So the rejection was complete. I also didn't need to concern myself with responding at all, after all. And I'm thankful for the experience of shawarma. It taught me that I do have the power to say no, and that I lived through it all. I had a peace-filled time in a beautiful little town at the bottom of Mount Shasta, and I was able to let go of investing time in thinking about someone else's emotions. All I could do is own my own. And no, I haven't tried shawarma yet. But thinking about trying to please people can make our heart tingle with fear of failure. And it's a trap. When we try to please others, we're setting ourselves up for failure. We will fail at some point. There's no way we can live up to all of their love laws and our own simultaneously. There will be conflict because some of them will contradict each other. We can instead find freedom in our power of no. We can say no to anything we don't want to do. The fear of rejection is made powerless with this awareness. If someone rejects us, it's not about us. When we sit in this power of no, we realize we can never truly be rejected because we're 100% unconditionally loved by the Creator, and all these beings of unconditional love playing the parts of these humans on Earth too. Everything else is an illusion. Everyone else is just a character in a really cool romantic comedy horror thriller action movie. It isn't real. We can only pretend that we're rejected. And the more we use our power of no, the more we remember that powerful beings that we really are. We begin to see the bedtime stories that we're telling ourselves that keep us in the fear slumber. We use the word no a lot more often, and we feel less guilty about it. We say no, not out of anger and resentment towards others, but out of love for ourselves. Unconditional love for ourselves. So to ignite your power of no, try saying no, even if you have to say it inside your head first before it escapes out of your lips to others. And it will change your life. Think about some times where you wanted to decline, but you didn't. What were you fearing? And repeat this statement 3 times a day for a week. I never have to do anything I don't want to do. So let's move on to the power to question. Yes, we are powerful supernatural beings made from unconditional love. So I find myself using the word power a lot because we are indeed power-filled. And this power to question is one of the most freeing superpowers we have, because it gives us the ability to question old restricting, limiting beliefs that no longer serve us. At a Thanksgiving get-together, a guest of the family was in the kitchen helping prepare the feast when she noticed her friend tying the legs of the turkey together with a wire. And she had not seen this before, so she inquired why it was that she did that. And her friend had no idea. Her mother, that had taught her to prepare the turkey, was there, so she asked her mother, "Why do we do this?" Her mother had no idea either, as her mother had taught her as well. But Grandma, she happened to be there in the living room chatting, so they moved their inquiry out of the kitchen. And when they asked the grandmother why they tied the legs together, she replied that her mother had taught her to do that, and their ovens were so small and the pans were not as large as they were these days, so they had to tie the legs up so that they did not touch the sides of the oven and burn. And then the granddaughter asked, "Well, why do we do it now?" To which they all looked at each other and shrugged their shoulders. Much of what our society does is because sometime, someone caused us to create a standard of doing things back in the day. We blindly follow the norm, not knowing why we do it. And in our own lives, we have developed a belief about the world, others, and ourselves, and we believe this is the right way to do things. But because of the internet and technology, the amount of interaction we have with strangers and others outside of our immediate family and friends has grown exponentially. Along with this growth comes challenges to our beliefs. This is beneficial for us because if we're never challenged, we might never question what we believe and never evolve outside of the box. We tend to long to feel safe in our little house of beliefs about the world because our fear ego likes to define things, and it likes things to stay the way they are. It likes to convince us to try to live up to an unobtainable list of shoulds and have-tos so that we can experience what it might feel like to be unacceptable, a failure, unlovable, and all those uncomfortable emotions that spawn from fear of losing love. The fear ego will draw us into the past to show us all the times we messed up and didn't meet conditional love laws. It will also shove us into the future to illustrate to us that we will have to meet any new conditions that arise too. The fear ego has us rehashing old memories or looking to the future for fulfillment, informing us that only death will stop the ticking clock of judgment, and then our lives will be evaluated for acceptability and lovability. Woohoo! What a ride, right? But we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. It's when we're unhappy and disappointed in the world as we see it that we begin to question our beliefs. So if you find yourself looking at your world now, that tells you that you're ready to question. The thought of questioning your personal beliefs might strike fear in your body, and that's normal. Just take some deep breaths and calm down. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You don't have to make any changes if you don't want to. If you look at it that you're simply going to take a look-see-poo, remember, you are super powerful, so you get to choose what you want. No expectations from me. This is your life and your world. It has nothing to do with me. Yes, it is as you suspected. It is all about you. Your life happens inside you. My life happens inside me. And sometimes our actions leak out over into someone else's life, but only the actions do. The emotions stay contained within ourselves. The actions based on emotions are external, throwing things around, tears disappearing from someone's life, hugs, smiles. But the emotions themselves and the emotions each of us chooses happens inside each of us and nowhere else. Our view of the world is our view. Our impressions of other people are our own. We haven't really met anyone else truly. All we know is the story that we have attached to them. It's like taking a picture of someone and drawing a mustache and horns and crazy eyes on them. It isn't real. It's just our impression. When we question our beliefs, our world suddenly opens up. Clarity comes. The fog lifts. We begin to see reality. We never quite know who someone is until we drop our conditioned thoughts about them. Situations are also tainted by our impressed views of them. If we look back at old memories with new knowledge, we can see them in a whole new light. Peace comes when we stop the battle between our insane thoughts and reality and declare the shenanigans, if the small t truths of the human world that are rooted in fear. Freedom comes when we surrender the cage that binds us. In preparation to descend into our thoughts, we can open our minds through this little exercise. If it's raining and we don't think it should be raining, we're stressed, frustrated, and confused. We feel out of control. When we stop battling against reality and investigate our thought, it shouldn't be raining, we see that it was silly to have a story about the rain. The thought leaves us, we're free, and then we dance in the rain instead. As we question our beliefs and thoughts about external things, we start realizing it's very similar to having thoughts about how the weather should be. We see that it becomes a moot point to try to control everything that is outside of our control. We're taught from a very young age not to question those in authority. Just do as I say. We're taught by external religions to have blind faith in the conditioned love laws handed down to us. Our fear ego tells us not to question our inner beliefs about others, the world, and ourselves, because it wants to keep us on the loop-to-loop ride for the experience. It might take a bit of bravery to begin to question your thoughts. Try not to take on your entire life all at once. Take several deep breaths and decide to look at just one simple belief, no more than one. Remember that there's no requirement to change the belief. Just question it. Take a look at it. And you can ignite your power to question by using an amazing process called the Work or Judge Your Neighbor worksheet that was created by Byron Katie. She has a book called Loving What Is, also a YouTube channel under her name, Byron Katie, BYRONKATIE, and a website that offers free content at thework, just THEWORK.com. And I highly recommend it. It was definitely a life changer for me. And so if you have any questions on it, let me know. I even have a podcast previously, if I remember. I'll put it down below. But it's on the playlist. It's probably about 4, 5, 6 ago. It's all about the work. So that's it for the 5 superpowers that Spirit wanted me to focus on right now as we use them to step out of our chaos and more into our cozy. As always, I'd love to hear about the power of no and the power to question and how they've impacted your lives, and any questions about any of the content as well. Please don't hesitate to ask. You know, we're all in this together, this wonderful adventure. We all have learned so many things. The more we share with each other, the smarter we all get, right? It's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So you can either comment below in this video, or if you prefer to keep it more private, you can always email me at bradazen@gmail.com. In the next episode, we'll talk about a couple of my therapy sessions that turned around things for me. What? I know. Shh, don't tell anyone. Until next time, remember that every second of every moment of our lives, that we are eternally and unconditionally loved by the Mother and the Father of all things, our Creator. And of course, I love you too. So hang in there. Take care of you. We'll see you soon.